Maryam, 16, escaped after being captured by Boko Haram militants in Nigeria and equipped with a suicide bomb. According to Unicef, more than 110 children have been used as suicide bombers since the start of the year, at least 76 of them girls. Adam Ferguson for The New York Times. Good morning. Here's what you need to know. Trump critic bows out with a bang. Reckless, outrageous and undignified behavior has become excused and countenanced as telling it like it is when it is actually just reckless, outrageous and undignified. And when such behavior emanates from the top of our government, it is something else. It is dangerous to a democracy. That was Senator Jeff Flake, challenging both President Trump and Republican leaders on Tuesday in an extraordinary speech in which he announced he would not seek re-election next year. After tangling with the president for months, Mr. Flake faced worsening poll numbers in Arizona. He now joins what our chief Washington correspondent, Carl Hulse, calls a new type of Freedom Caucus, Republicans who are free to speak about Mr. Trump without fear of the political backlash. We have video highlights and a full transcript of Mr. Flake's speech. Hillary Clinton, back in the spotlight. Mrs. Clinton's presidential campaign and the Democratic National Committee paid for research that was included in a dossier containing salacious claims about connections between Donald Trump, his associates and Russia. Tuesday's revelation is likely to fuel new attacks over numerous investigations into Russia's attempts to disrupt last year's election. The president and his allies have said those investigations are politically motivated. Separately, House Republicans announced new investigations into Mrs. Clinton's emails and an Obama-era uranium deal. A new era in China, still led by Xi. President Xi Jinping of China unveiled a leadership team today that lacked a likely successor, with 5 new members all in their 60s. Mr. Xi's second term ends in 2023. Our correspondent in Beijing, Chris Buckley, says the absence of a younger addition was a departure from the party's carefully scripted transfers of power in recent decades and a possible signal that Mr. Xi intends to dominate Chinese politics beyond this next 5-year term. We look at the 7 men now running China and explain Tuesday's changes to the Communist Party's constitution, which elevated Mr. Xi to Mao-like status. Inching back toward normal, the school year started on Tuesday in Puerto Rico, albeit mostly in shadow. 3/4 of the island still lacks power after last month's hurricane. Working to restore electricity is a utility company from Whitefish, Mont, that had only 2 full-time employees, and has received a $300 million contract from the island's power authority. Puerto Ricans are learning to make do, sometimes in extreme ways. It's like going back in time, said a resident who has been living in darkness since September 5th. The Daily, your audio news report. In today's show, we discuss what actually happened during the ambush in Niger that left 4 U.S. soldiers dead. Listen on a computer, an iOS device or an Android device. Business Senate Republicans voted to strike down a sweeping new rule that would have allowed Americans to band together in class action lawsuits against financial institutions. Automakers, retailers and other business leaders stormed Capitol Hill on Tuesday to try to preserve the North American Free Trade Agreement. If you were laid off, would you train your replacement? In our video, 2 friends at a steel plant that's moving to Mexico explain their answers. The philanthropist Laureen Powell Jobs scrapped plans for a new magazine run by a former New Republic editor after he apologized for offenses against female colleagues, and the website Jezebel, a leading voice on feminist issues, named KOA back as its top editor. U.S. stocks were up on Tuesday. Here's a snapshot of global markets. Smarter living dips, both new and old, for a more fulfilling life. 9 ways to invest better. Poor air quality. Here's how to choose a good air purifier. Recipe of the day. Baked chicken tenders will please children and adults alike. Noteworthy all aboard in South Africa. In today's 360 video, join our frugal traveler on a 26-hour train ride from Johannesburg to Cape Town. I really didn't expect to survive. The Times interviewed 18 teenage girls who were captured by Boko Haram militants in Nigeria. They were then equipped with suicide bombs and sent into crowds. Here are their stories. Who slipped drugs to the dogs? A doping scandal has hit the Iditarod, the world's most famous dog sled race. 4 dogs on one team tested positive for high levels of an opioid pain reliever. Their musher, a four-time champion, suggested it was sabotage. Dodgers win Game 1. After a home run in its first at-bat on Tuesday, Los Angeles beat the Houston Astros 31 to open the World Series. Game 2 is tonight, the outer limits of cuisine. Since it opened in the Los Angeles area in July, the otherworldly Vespertine and its $250 tasting menus have left diners perplexed, impressed, annoyed, or all three. Our restaurant critic, Pete Wells, went for a visit. Best of late-night TV. Seth Meyers was unimpressed by Senator Jeff Flake's decision to step down. "I'm going to fight for the American people by quitting my job of fighting for the American people." Quotation of the day: "Whatever this miraculous thing is that you're telling me about, I don't understand it and I don't like it." Vince Pissarro, writer and Columbia alumnus, on the unexpected success of the university's football team. Backstory: if you live in an urban area, you've probably come across, or been bumped into by, people who walk with their eyes glued to their phones. In Honolulu, those smartphone zombies can now face fines of up to $99. Tempting fate in Hotel Street, Honolulu. Marco Garcia, for the New York Times. A law goes into effect there today that bans pedestrians from crossing the road while looking at devices. Honolulu passed the measure to reduce accidents caused by distracted walking. The ban is thought to be the first of its kind in a major U.S. city. "Sometimes I wish there were laws we did not have to pass, that perhaps common sense would prevail," Mayor Kirk Caldwell said. "But sometimes we lack common sense." Pedestrian deaths in the U.S. climbed to 5,987 in 2016, the highest since 1990, and a report cites smartphone-related distraction as a potential factor. Several cities have tried to tackle pedestrians urged to tweet, text and swipe. An announcement on Hong Kong's escalators advises don't keep your eyes only on your mobile phone, and temporary text walking lanes have been set up in Antwerp, Belgium, as well as in Philadelphia and Washington. But in most cases, pedestrians didn't notice the markings. They were too consumed by their phones. Sarah already contributed, reporting, _______. Your morning briefing is published weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern and updated all morning. Browse past briefings here. If photographs appear out of order, please download the updated New York Times app from iTunes or Google Play. What would you like to see here? Contact us at briefing@nytimes.com. You can get the briefing delivered to your inbox Sunday through Friday. We have 4 global editions, timed for the Americas, Europe, Asia and Australia. Check out our full range of free newsletters here.